All right, we are playing the first Prince of Persia game, which I believe was 1989. Yeah, 1990. Oh, so this should technically be in part 2. But the first release I have is October 1989, according to Wikipedia. So we're going to keep it here. So let's play this. This game was ported to a number of platforms. I've seen YouTube videos of the Macintosh version of this game, and the graphics are just much more capable. They're much more detailed. You can see a lot of the textures here on this version are pretty basic and bland. You know, I think this is probably EGA. Oh no. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I pushed the jump button. We'll try it again. So the idea, you have a time limit there, 60 minutes. You go through different levels trying to get to the princess. You fight guys, so let me see if I can give you some view of the action here. You have to be careful not to fall on the spikes like I almost did there. Let's keep going. You have to push these panels to open the doors. And some panels fall away, so you need to get on those before you die. And again, I pushed the button, but it was too late. There's the first thing you really want to pick up, which is a sword. Now we gotta head back. The first level is actually fairly easy. I think you only fight like one guy. Let's see if I can do this without dying. Amazing. Can't tell you how many times I got that wrong. Come on. So maybe I won't get to show you the fighting guys, but so I was Prince of Persia. Played this game a lot as a kid, probably on a 386 computer. I know it was released for Amiga, Macintosh, DOS, probably a few more. So let's take a look at the next game. So this is 688 Attack Sub. So this was a pretty good one. You could kind of play different missions. 688 would have been the U.S. designation for the Los Angeles class, I believe, Attack Sub. And then you've got Alphas spelled this way, which would have been sort of, you could play the Russians or the Americans. So if we just pick the first one, you can tweak some things. It's kind of cool how you could play modem via modem with somebody else. And I guess you program your country phone number, your zip, and exchange, and then the actual number. And you could play modem to modem, which I don't think I ever did that. I had a friend who had this game, a neighbor, and didn't live too far away, and played this game quite a bit. I don't remember if we ever played it modem to modem, but that's really interesting. I wonder if I could emulate a modem on COM1 through DOSBox and and play somebody multiplayer via DOSBox over the internet. That would be really cool. So you've got sort of, I guess this is the bridge or the main part of the ship. You've got different areas, you know, a map room, I guess is the radio room, torpedo or weapons room. They make you go to your radio room first. And you can do different things with the ship, look through the periscope. And as I recall, you had to sort of navigate this menu to or this kind of area to fight. But I think there were shortcut keys. I don't remember if they were F keys or number keys, but you could jump to rooms pretty quickly, because that would be rough if you couldn't. So this is kind of a nice way to integrate software protection into the game. You know, you would look up the in the book for this challenge, and then you type in the response or this, and down here in the code area, and I don't have my 688 book in front of me, or I do it. But then once you get this, you can you'll receive your mission orders kind of through this scrolling printer type of interface, and then you can go through it. As I recall, 688 was pretty challenging, especially for like a 10-year-old kid, 11-year-old kid who's trying to play it. But the graphics were like really sweet. I remember the first time I got a CGA monitor, upgraded from my monochrome monitor, I was finally able to play 688 Attack Sub, because I don't think you could play it in monochrome, but you could play it in CGA with all the glory of the magenta color, which you can see a little bit down at the bottom, even though this is VGA. But 688 was a lot of fun. So let's move on to Street Rod. All right, this is Street Rod. Played this one an awful lot as a kid. Got it early on, and it's actually now free. This is 1989, as you can see. This one's actually available online. I think a company bought the rights to it, and they still host a website where you can legitimately download this game for free off the internet. All three versions. There's 3 editions of this, as I recall: Street Rod 2, and Street Rod SE, I believe. So, and I'm gonna need the manual, maybe. So, type in your name. The idea is, you know, you've got a certain amount of money here. We've got $750, which would have been a lot in 1963. I'm sure it's probably $5,000 now in today's money, or more maybe. And then you look for used cars. You'd upgrade them, you'd race them, race for pink slips, sell the cars you won, and keep upgrading until you beat the best guy in a drag race. And that's essentially what it is. You're drag racing, and you get to build up your car. It's pretty cool. So if I just pick one and buy it without looking too much. So you can take it to the garage, and you can upgrade the engine, sort of tune it, fill it up with gas. You can change the colors, the tires. You can kind of chop the roof to get some more aerodynamics out of it. I believe you can chop the bumpers. Yeah, strip the bumpers. Get even less weight, so it can go faster and faster, and it'll tell you sort of specs about it. But it's pretty cool. So you'd race this, and then just kind of work your way up until you beat the best guy with the best hot rod, and then that's when you won the game. You play for pink slips, you race for pink slips, and when you get the best guy's car, you've won. So countless hours playing this game as a kid, and still find it pretty fun. I actually played it probably a year or two ago for a while, and believe it or not, some of these older games, they're really fun. Let's go on to Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. All right, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. You can see Lucasfilm. This one's got really good graphics for the time. This is probably 1990, so even though, again, my sources say 1989, but we'll cover it in part 1. So this is clearly 256 colors. We've got a lot of nice shades there. It's kind of neat if you remember the movie. India as a kid. He was being chased after he stole the cross of Corazon, I think. I could be wrong. It's been many years since I've watched it, but then he kind of fell into a train with a lion, and that's kind of how he got his whip. So if you never knew how Indiana Jones got his whip, that's how he got it. This is kind of a more modern remake, and but this engine is sort of the same as Maniac Mansion, that was released for a number of platforms, where you've got the top part is kind of the view, and then you can, I think in the very original interface, you would click different words to do those functions, and it had kind of a point and click interface with mouse support. So again, you go through the story as Indiana Jones, yes, so you can see this is kind of a modern remake, but the interface is very similar. I don't think this is what this was not what it looked like originally, but this was a lot of fun. I don't think you can't use arrows at all. You actually use the mouse for everything. So we can walk to the door, walk out the door. Is that his office? I forget. We'll walk over here, and you just go through the story. I like a lot of these sort of adventure games. I wasn't so big into a lot of the action games. I kind of preferred the adventure games. So the last game that I have in my retro collection from 1984 to 1989 is going to be SimCity Classic. So we'll take a look at that next. All right, guys, I had to power up one of my retro machines. So this is a original Pentium 1 133 megahertz processor, running Windows 3.1, and I've got SimCity Classics here. It's got some music to it, which is pretty cool. So we'll start a new city, go easy. So you've got a city form here, and you can highlight different parts of the terrain, and then you can start building and bulldozing, which is interesting. It's actually doing a combination of music and PC speaker. I don't know if you can hear that, but that's kind of interesting. And we can put in blocks of residential communities. Anyway, it's pretty cool. Played this quite a bit. You would build different things like power plants, airports, set up traffic lines, telephone poles, have various natural disasters that happen. So this is a tornado that's coming through that can destroy your territory. Fortunately, nobody's there. And it has a running clock that you can see in the upper right-hand corner. So July, November 1920, 1921, etc. So that is the end of our part 1 for games from 1984 through 1989/1990, and in the next one we'll go on from 1990.